Hello everyone, I am your host Crystal Storm, and tonight we're talking with decades-long tarot practitioner Cynnara Tregarth. Cyn has a wealth of knowledge to share about the tarot, from its history to its current uses, and how embracing this practice can help you gain insight in life, career, and relationships. It's a tool, one to be respected and whose use can greatly enrich our day-to-day. Whether we choose to heed the messages we're given or not is another story. Ready? Let's take a peek inside Crystal's imagination. Professionally auto switch to this screen. I love it when shit just works. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's right. That's right. Everything just worked. It was great. Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of Crystal's Imagination. I am your host, Crystal. I have been in live radio, podcasting for a very long time, and I am very, very excited to be back at it, especially with my first guest, who is a very close friend of mine. She knows so much about just everything. I'm so jealous. She is one of the people in my circle who I wish I could just sit down in her brain and just look around. It would be like an amazing library to just be like, I want to read this and this and this. She is just that person, but she forgot to send me her bio, so I can't introduce her. So she's gonna have to introduce herself. And today we will be talking about the tarot. So Cynnara, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I know you're so busy, but please introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Well, hey, audience. As she said, my name is Cynnara Tregarth, also known as Cinna AL, depending on where in the world you're trying to find me. So if it's comics and script writing, it's Cinna AL. If it's books, it's been Cynnara Tregarth. So I've been in publishing for this year. It'll be 18 years.
Oh my God, that's so what girl?
I know, right?
Woo!
My very first comic books I've edited will be out this year in end of June, and
That's so exciting.
in July, and then probably in August. So it's getting to be kind of a crazy thing. Wow, I don't know what to say. As for knowing everything, this is what happens when you're like a little kid and you have an encyclopedia set and it's vacation time and your goal is to read every single encyclopedia book.
Just read them all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A to Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
We don't have those anymore, and we really, really need to bring them back.
We do. No, we absolutely do. Video's gonna look weird for just a second, everybody, while I turn Cyn up, because I want to give her a little bit. Actually, she looks fine. I look like ridiculous because I did this a weird way, and now I know never to do this way again in case I have to turn a guest up. So that's fine. It's fine. It's first episode. It's fine. Yeah, it's great. Cyn, you actually gave me my first tarot decks. You gave me and my girlfriend Hannah our first decks, which is awesome. And then I got totally addicted to them and Oracle cards, which are my favorite. But let's start with the tarot. Let's just take a deep dive here. Like, what is it? Is it just, a bunch of crazy people just pulling out cards and magically reading things and hustling people out of their money? Or like, what is it?
Oh, if only it was that simple.
I know, right?
No, actually what happened is the tarot is based off of 78 cards. Originally, it was called Tarocchi in Italy. It goes back to the 1400s. The very first deck that we still have examples of today is called the Sforza Visconti deck. And actually the Barron Library in New York actually has the most pieces to the deck. I think it's like 35, last count. So I have actually an example, and it's a style of deck called the Marseille deck. So basically, usually they have no words on them, but mine do, because this is called the Scalpini Deck, the medieval Scalpini Deck, and Scalpini actually was hired to recreate the 4 missing cards from this Visconti deck. So what's nice about this is that you can just see how vivid and how all these cards are just very stylized and romantic. Well, they used to play a game, and most people will tell you that tarot is ancient and it comes from Egypt and it's from gypsies. No, please don't do that nonsense. None of it is true.
She's making the stop. If you're on the podcast, I'm sorry you didn't get to see the pretty cards. If you're listening on the podcast, you missed all the pretty cards. Why you should watch it live? And she made the stop in motion. Yeah. She's like, stop it, stop lying.
No, just don't do that nonsense. Because anybody who actually does tarot and researches it will basically look at you, like give you side eye look. That side eye look. So the nice thing about the Scalpini deck and any Marseille deck is that it will force you to learn the card. And learn the meaning of the cards without having to know what the cards mean, because all you have is the number of coins and a picture. Now, one of the thing is about these pictures is the fact that there is a gentleman, Jaworski, who did a film recently that talks about the tarot in motion. And basically, if you actually look at every single card and try to act it out, it will actually help you to understand what each tarot minor card means.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
So going from there, what ended up happening is through the years, and just, you know, as a curvature, a slight curve, there were other decks that were used for divination during that time. Because the nice thing is Taroki was playing a game and they played it, but all through that time there were other card decks that not only were used for that, but were also used for divination purposes, because all-purpose decks were used for multiple things.
Okay.
So if you have like a regular standard playing card deck, you can actually do divination with that. And in fact, it was actually that similar deck that was actually used for Lenormand, which I do have a Lenormand deck to show you too. But I'm going to do the history of tarot, and then we'll do a little bit about Lenormand.
Love it.
Because Lenormand and tarot are linked. So
okay.
So the next deck that came about was based off of the Sforza deck. And then what happened was it was on a show going across Europe and into the United States when Patricia Coleman went to go see the works and was asked by AC Waite to actually go and paint pictures based on information he gave her. They were both part of the Order of Golden Dawn. So there comes the very first deck of the Rider-Waite deck, which she is actually the person who painted all the pictures. Now, the Rider-Waite deck is the traditional tarot deck that you will see. And the version that I'm holding up is the borderless one. It originally came out, did have borders. I also have, this is also the Century Edition, which I actually love.
Her tarot card collection is fantastic, y'all. If you like tarot cards, go shopping at Sin's house. Except she's not going to give you any of them. You just look at them and then go buy them yourselves, but they're great.
Yeah, and in fact, I have a few extra that are coming. So, now the interesting thing is, and you can actually do this, and this is actually one of the ways I teach people to read tarot, is that every painting that she made, if you line them up, tells a story. So when you read the tarot, whether it be the major arcana, and there's 22 cards, or the minor arcana, that those pictures, so this is the Four of Wands. If you look at the Four of Wands, you see that there is a couple standing underneath the canopy. So what you're talking about there is you're looking at happiness, you're looking at long life, togetherness. So it's something happy. So that is basically a simple, easy reading to do. There are different other extra external points that you can get into that go further, but that's just the basics. Waite wanted a deck to basically help get into more of an esoteric version of not only being able to better themselves, but also to connect basically Judaism's Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, to this purpose. And so there are other esoteric meanings within this that actually go to each spot, which is why he used to know and hang out with Crowley.
Why am I not surprised? Is there anybody Crowley didn't hang out with?
Well, and it's funny because Crowley actually left the order.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up making his own deck, which is called the Thoth Deck.
Ooh.
So I will tell you right now, the Thoth Deck happens to be probably the one I use the least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't love it. It's just that I want to get a better deck version of it that's a little bit thicker.
Okay.
But they are radically, for something that was made in the early 1900s.
It's pretty.
They are radically more Art Deco and
yeah,
1950s.
It is. Yeah, very much so.
So you would think, oh, this was made in the 60s. No, sunshine, no.
Wow.
So
that's a really pretty deck, though. I kind of like that. Like, woo.
It is, and for some people, this deck is easier to read than the Rider-Waite.
Mm.
So some of the things are named exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are not. But it's a really nice key. Like this one is completion, which would be for all of us would be the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you have the Hanged Man, which is the same.
Oh wow, he just looks cooler in that one.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I mean, he looks messed up still. I mean, I actually think he looks a little more messed up in that one than he does in the other deck. And by the way, if anybody who's listening, this is your kind of first deep dive into this, you don't know who Aleister Crowley is or the Order of the Golden Dawn, Google it and then watch your life disappear for like a couple of days as you fall down that rabbit hole. But that's a whole other show we have to do to tell you about that. It's a whole other show.
That's a whole Google feud in itself, because Google feud that for a while and be like, what's up with this?
Yeah.
What?
Don't stop. Let me just don't even start at Wikipedia. Don't start there. No. Don't start at Wikipedia. No. Mm-mm. In fact, go get a book. Get a book. Don't even get you like a little bit of info on the internet, but then if you're like, go get a fucking book. Don't, because they got it all wrong.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do something for historical purposes for learning this stuff, one of the best things to do is to there is a tarot association that you can get info from. In America, there's the Tarology Association, the U.S. Tarot Association. In the UK, there's a Tarot Association. So there are better sources to info for. And you can actually, once you get trained, you can actually become a listed tarot reader, and they will refer people to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
So now that we've got the basics down, which is those 3 decks, those were the 3 decks forever and ever and ever. Amen. Until came the Morgan Greer deck, which came, and the ultimate Rider-Waite, which was like more of a colorized version of the Rider-Waite. Now the Morgan Greer was like made in the 70s, and it looks like it. It's colorful, it's nice, it's beautiful. I don't have it, and there are reasons for it, because I do not want to relive my lifetime in the 70s again. I was a child, and
LSD.
Do not do that to me. Please do not do that to me again. So
Sin said I had too much fun in the 70s, and I don't want to talk about it.
I was an infant, and I was a child. I ran around. Me and Sesame Street were buds, okay? Let's leave it there. So, yeah. So ever since then, like in the 70s going forward, then tarot started developing from that point forward. People started making their own decks, and it started growing. Nowadays, you'll see it on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, where there are quality artisan decks. Let me tell you, if you've seen my collection, I have some.
People are stupid talented. Like, stupid talented. It's crazy.
There are some metaphysicians that actually put out decks every once in a while. In fact, I have Benabel Wen's first 2 decks that she did, and she has a 3rd coming out soon, and I've already pre-ordered it. So
it's like, it's mine.
She sent it out, and she sent out a thing that for anybody who had ordered one of the 2 prior, and she sent me an email, and she said, "So you had already said you wanted it. Did you want another?" I was like, "Yes, just the full package. Just send me the full package, whatever it costs. Send me the full package."
Like all of it, give it to me. All of it, give it to me.
So it's like it's got everything. It's got like the book itself, which has all this information, is like 3 inches thick.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, yeah.
Things you forget to do because you haven't podcasted in so long.
You thought you were safe.
I know, right?
So one of the other kind of things, and I'll show you some of the newer tarot that are out that we have right now, but I'm going to show you a little bit of the Lenormand first. Lenormand basically is called that because of Mademoiselle Lenormand. Basically, it's based off a set of cards that had both a playing card suit and card in a corner.
Ooh.
And it had a picture attached. Now
that's so pretty. I want to take like, because she sent me an amazing, thank you so much for being here, Carol, by the way. She sent me home with all these tarot decks, like me and my girlfriend, like different ones. She gave us ones for each of them, and the cards are so pretty that you literally want to get them like framed, and just I want like a whole room that's just tarot cards. You have to stop showing me these cards. It's like being a D&D player in dice. Like, you just want all the stupid freaking, she knows. You want them all. You just want them all.
And if you need dice, Ice Cream Dice on Twitter has an awesome sale going on right now. So
this and Sin, just I'm not paying rent this month. I'm not paying rent. I'm just getting dice and tarot cards. I'll tell my landlord, I'll be like, you're not getting paid because I had to get dice and tarot cards. I'm just trying to let y'all know.
And it's very bad that I know these things. So, and don't you know that like I just bought 2 new decks that are coming out on Kickstarter. Oh, and there's a third one that I want, and I'm like, I'm holding off, but I'm like, dude, I really need it. It is a ancient Egypt oracle, and I'm like, please.
It's an oracle, because Oracle's my favorite. Oracle's my favorite.
No, and this is not just any oracle. This is not. It's ancient Egypt, and it's like 45 cards, and it's in depth set, and I'm like,
insert I want it GIF right now. Just put it right there. Like, I want it. Ah.
So Lenormand actually is based off of a set of cards. It could go as far as back as we can find out so far. And I think oh gosh, Mary Greer is the one that did the research. It goes back to in Germany, and it was called Pitch and Cups. So that was like 1600s.
Oh wow.
So they was used as a card game again. And you would play the card game, or you could actually do divination, and it actually included instructions for both. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
So when it became called the Lenormand, what happened is that Mademoiselle Lenormand had been making divination, was known in her local area in France. She made a couple of big, I guess you would say, predictions that came true. And when they came true, they were for big wigs within the royal state. And she ended up doing divination and tarot and the Lenormand card specifically for the king and queen.
Oh, wow.
So that's how the Lenormand spread. So there's quite a few things with it. And so the nice thing about the Lenormand is that when you read a spread for a Lenormand versus a spread for tarot, it's totally different.
Ooh.
Tarot,
Why?
you can create your own spread. Lenormand has specific set spreads, which are like 3x3, 2x2, 9x9. And the reason is because you don't read just going down or across or however you set the cards out. Lenormand is you literally read everything that's next to each other, and they relate to each other connectedly.
Ooh. Okay.
So it is a ball game and a half when you read it. Like the ring. Ring means not only is it a ring where it's a marriage, it's also a ring that connects you to somebody else.
Oh, wow.
And then if you have this plus the mountain from before, it means that you may be having a hardship with your relationships right now that you're married to, or it can mean a divorce is in the future, or it could be that you're going through a rough patch and afterwards you're going to be fine.
Right.
Depending on what your third card is. So let's say your third card is a child.
Mm-hmm.
So then what's going to end up happening is that you're going to get through that rough patch and have a really good time after that. You're going to go through like a child, a time of wonderment, basically starting over.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it relates.
Nice.
So, and then so you go up and down, you'll go across, you'll see how it all feeds into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they have significator cards in Lenormand. So you have like a male and female. Some people will deal them out first.
Mm-hmm.
And then deal around it. Some people will not, and they'll just deal it out and see if the significator card comes up. And if it does, then what ends up happening is that they will read it dealing from the significator out. Everything closest is what's happening in the closest time, and going out is basically farther in the future.
Okay.
So that's how Lenormand works. And Lenormand ended up being a lost art for such a long time because of tarot. It started coming back probably about maybe 15, 20 years ago. And it is basically going through its own little renaissance. And I love Lenormand because it's so easy to do. And the decks are kind of like playing card size. So it makes it nice and easy to hold.
It's hard to hold some tarot decks. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard.
It can be.
Yeah.
So this is like my favorite one. It's by Ciro Marchetti. And he also has done some amazing tarot decks. I love him. I want all his decks.
Give them all.
All the decks. All the decks. In fact, he's got one out right now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have. So, yeah, I'm just gonna give in. I'm just like,
just let it happen. Just let it happen.
Yeah. So, like I said, one of the things I talked about were tarot decks. So when you talk about what is easy, where does a beginner start, where does somebody who's been kind of reading but not quite sure, because it's like, let me look at the book. So first off, let me assure you, look at the book.
No shame in it.
I have no shame. It's especially if it's a deck. See, so look, there's a difference between oracle cards and tarot. Okay. Tarot always has 78 cards. Very few do you ever see that will go up to 81. And usually that has like extra cards that for indicate like a significator card or special bonus cards. But on normal circumstances, tarot is 78 cards, only 78 cards, has a major arcana, a minor arcana, 4 suits. There is a deck out though that has 5 suits. It has all 5 elements, and I want it. I want it so bad. I
need you to stop talking about all these new decks. Okay, we go.
Yeah. So, okay. Oracle decks, on the other hand, can be any set number of cards. Usually it's between 30 and 50. And it's around a theme. So these are my Heal Yourself decks by Inna Segal, which I love her. She is one of my favorite. I have like every single deck of hers but one. I will be getting that one. So every theme, every card has a theme that relates to the main theme for healing yourself. Like this is alchemy.
That's beautiful.
I know, right? This is dealing with pride, which is the half face of a skull.
Ooh, but also beautiful.
I was like, Hella, don't hurt me, Hella.
Yeah, I know, you get that card, be like, oh, I'm gonna die. No, it says pride, not death. Calm down.
Yeah. And you have entrapment, where you feel like, I'm just stuck on this. I can't do that.
So oracle cards are usually generalized. You know, if you want advice about, you're trying to get guidance about a specific thing, it can be helpful to pick up an oracle deck. Whereas a tarot deck can give you, I mean, you can ask a question about literally anything.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always tell people is that you can use either deck for anything.
Okay.
However, when it comes to oracle decks are a lot more general. Whereas tarot decks can get to the specific degree of go left or go right, depending on how you want to go do things. Where one of the things I will tell people is when you learn to do tarot, it's not yes or no, although you can do yes or no questions, and I can tell you how to do them. The best thing to do is ask open-ended questions on, hey, this is where I'm at, and I'm thinking about doing this. Is this a great idea? Is this, not like yes or no, is it a great idea, but hey, this is where I'm going and I'm leaning towards this. And it'll tell you, hey, this looks like it's a path. You may have some bumps in the road. Go for it. Or it may say, hey, that's stormy, but look at this idea over here.
Right.
And you'll see the different guidance that it does. One of the things that have been out recently is a lot of things that if you're a creative type, there has been a lot of tarot books that have come out for writers. Yes. Yeah.
She got me.
And the reason is the fact that, in fact, that was actually one of the parts that are in my book that I'm working on. Is the fact that you can use tarot to help write, because of the fact that it can help you not only develop your character, it can help your storyline, make sure that you're not missing anything, and it can also help you to develop backstory. Do they have a tragic past? Do they have a secret that they're not telling?
What a great idea. It's just like, do a tarot reading for one of your characters and just see what comes up. Oh my God.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to do that, because it's not like, one, they're going to argue with you, and two, when you read it, it comes out like, there it is. And you're like, what? Yes. Let me take a picture, frame it. Makes it easier to go back to.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is you can do it for your stories chapter by chapter, even though let's say that your story has these major turning points in it. Let's say you don't know that if you're in chapter 1 and by chapter 3 this point has to hit, but you're like, how am I going to make this happen? So you do a reading that says, okay, I'm on chapter 1 and I've got to here. What do I need to do to get to chapter 3 where I hit this turning point? So you lay out the cards, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, this happens. And there's a tower moment where the main character basically screws up. And everything goes to hell. And then this happens. And then all of a sudden, somebody turns around and betrays them. And, now we're at chapter 3. And you're like, well, that's the first 2 chapters. Hey.
Right. It's that muse that every writer's looking for. It's right there in a tarot deck. Before we go on break, let's talk briefly. Some tarot readers, and it seems to be like some debate about whether or not to read cards that come up in reverse. What's kind of the thought process about that?
Why wouldn't you?
Some say it, some don't, some do. So yeah.
So basically, here's the going thing with that. Some people aren't comfortable reading them in reverse because of the fact that it's unnatural. Now, I have a deck called I don't know if it's here. Probably not. It's probably in the other room. I moved decks recently. Called the Vice Versa deck. That basically, it is the front half. The front part of the deck has one picture of the tarot, and on the back has the back half. So it's a reverse.
Oh my gosh.
I love that deck. Thank you. There's also a deck called the Revelations deck, and that deck actually has it split in half. So you have the front, and then you have the top card, and then at the bottom is the reverse. So when you lay it out, it is basically facing you no matter which way.
Right.
So it's easier to read.
Right.
So basically the halves of the cards look different.
Ooh.
So the reverse looks different from what the front does, so you can actually tell what the meanings are better. And that's basically the biggest problem that many people have with reverse cards, is it's just a card upside down. So does it mean it's literally the opposite of what the meaning is, or is it something completely different? And sometimes when you read the books on the information that's held in the decks, it's kind of like, oh, it's this. And you're like, well, wait a minute. The front card said this, but this seems to be a little bit off from what that was. Other times you'll see, oh, it's just literally kind of like the reverse of it. Here's what basically I've been taught, and basically what I teach others is you're going to be able to tell when you're doing the reading and you do a reverse. So let's say the card comes up in reverse, and as you're reading, you see that reverse, you're like, yeah, okay. Normally that card would mean X, Y, and Z. But my inside is saying that with those cards in that flow, it's going to be leaning more towards this meaning. You go with the meaning you know that it's going to lean toward. because you're feeling and you know that with that flow that they're going to need that corrective stance. Reverse cards are protection cards. Basically, all that's telling you is that, hey, if you don't get your act together, that you're going to miss opportunities, that things are going to happen. And not all reverse cards are bad. Because some of the cards are bad.
It's true. That tower card's rough. That's a rough card.
It's changed, man. People see the tower card and they freak out, or they see the devil card, and I'm like, the devil card is just like, living your everyday life and being tempted by everything out there. Like, ooh, I would like that 10-pound bar of chocolate. Thank you.
It's probably because there's such beautiful art on the cards too, right? You see this devil card come up, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and then you get like something like the 10 of Cups in reverse, and you're like, oh, it's just a 10 of Cups in reverse, no big deal. And then you're like, wait a minute, 10 of Cups is about all your wishes come true. Bitch, you're not letting me have my stuff.
Okay, but why? And then you look at the whole story.
And that's where that comes into, is learning how to read your story in reading when you come to read the cards. And one of the things that I find is that when you look at cards to buy, and don't get me wrong, I love pretty cards. You can ask Crystal. I like very pretty cards. Thank you.
She does. I do.
But in fact, you haven't seen my new deck. My new deck is by Jasmine Griffith Beckett pictures.
Oh!
And it's purple gilded.
Oh my god! Pistol's about to drive down and steal your deck. Pistol's gonna come steal your deck. Oh my god!
And this has been my workhorse deck. So this is the Beautiful Creatures 2.0 deck.
God, it's gorgeous.
Which is so hard to find. So when it came available, I was like,
give it.
Send.
Give it. Yeah, give it.
Send.
Oh my god.
So
that's gorgeous.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it is not only does it have the name of the card, but on the bottom, it actually gives you a one-name descriptor of what the card is.
Yeah.
So I was like, I love you.
You are beautiful. Thank you.
You are beautiful. Like the Magician. I love this card.
Ooh. That is amazing. It's just
skeleton.
I know. My sister would also love the art in that card. That's amazing. All right. We have just taken an amazing deep dive into the history of the tarot, talked about some differences between that and oracle cards, covered why you should read the reverse cards. Do not be scared of them. Make sure that you are telling the whole story. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about why you should be using the tarot, what the benefits are for you to be doing this, maybe on the daily, at least weekly, kind of check in with yourselves. We already talked about the benefits for writers. So writers, go get you a tarot deck, if only, just to do it for your characters, and then all of a sudden you're going to learn tarot, and now you're going to be giving your friends reading. It's going to be great. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5. Go grab a break. We're going to take a break. You go grab a snack. We'll be right back. I mean, sometimes you just got to simplify it. Just simplify it. All right, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back on in. We are here with our very, very, very glorious special guest, Cynnara Tregarth, who is giving us some education on the tarot and its history. So yeah, Sid, let's get into, let's talk about why. I mean, why should people be practicing this, quote unquote woo-woo shit?
Shit is good for you.
That's what I say. I mean, that's what I'm about.
So here's the thing. We have so much stress in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
We are working more. We are getting less. We are supposed to be able to know by the time we're in 9th grade what are we going to do with our lives. We're supposed, literally. Yeah. I in 9th grade, I'm supposed to know what I want to be when I grow up. Hell, most people know they want to be pretty, for God's sakes.
It's true.
And nowadays, most people have to switch jobs and learn new skills at least 2 to 3 times in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's nice to be able to have a check system in place that says, "Hey, how am I doing right now? Am I okay? Am I off balance and just not know it? Is there something that's going to happen or about to happen that I need to be aware of? That's just outside of my control. Because the biggest thing that most people have issues with is anything that they can't control, they get touchy about. And that would be me. I used to have this thing that I can control everything and anything.
That's a lie.
My therapist and I have been working on this issue.
If you combine any woo-woo practice with therapy, you are like doing so good. So good. You're doing so good.
Well, you know, and it's funny because that's actually one of the things that she and I talked about was the fact of that things like tarot actually make a big difference with therapy because of the fact that it gets you back down to the base core of who you are. So, like, let's say you're picking your card of the day, which is something that I always tell everybody to start with. So you pick your card of the day, and it is Two of Wands. And this deck is the Simple Tarot, which if you're a beginner, this is Angie Green's deck, and this is like the best deck ever because it has all the definition you want.
It's like right on the card. Yeah.
It's on the card and you can read it off. And it's just like, this is my workhorse deck. This is my go-to deck for every single day, for everything I do. I have like 3 copies of this deck. That's how bad it is.
That's glorious. That's glorious.
I buy this deck for everybody.
Okay, great deck to learn the tarot. There you go, right there.
Yeah. So you get this one that says, so you want to plan for the future. It's got determination on it. You have the world, which is basically, you got to see the big picture. So that's your thing for the day. So your thought for the day is see the big picture. Don't get caught in the minutia of everything else that's going on.
And see, I love what you did right there because not only did you read the definition, but then you looked at the picture. I mean, because the definition says determine planning for the future, right? But then the world kind of pulls that in. You're like, okay, so I got to do some planning. You might focus on that word, but then you look, oh, I'm planning for the big, like, not just for that one thing in the future that I want. I need to see the big pic. I love that. I love the integration of like visuals plus words because that's so helpful.
And that makes a big difference. So like during the day, let's say you start getting caught up with whatever you're doing and you start bogging down. That's when you sit there and think, okay, what was my card of the day? It was the Two of Wands. It was looking at the big picture. Don't get bogged down in detail. Oh crap, that's what I'm doing. Let me pull back, reset myself, rethink. And then what happens then is usually most times for most people, they can sit there and go, okay, let me start fresh at this moment. I'm not going to get caught up in all these little nitty gritty crap. I don't need to. Push this to the side and let me rescale this back. I don't need to go over what Dean and Jane and everybody else is doing. They're capable of doing their stuff. Let me make sure that the things that are on fire are taken care of and let them take care of themselves.
Right.
And that's kind of what you had to do. Now, when I used to work for a company and we were in a group of 6 people, every day we pulled a card.
Oh, wow.
So it became, that was our thing, is that every day we would grab one of like the 5 decks I had, which would be either Oracle cards or tarot.
What a great way to start a work day.
Yeah, we would pull a card for our day. And then we would check in at lunch and be like, hey, is everybody feeling good? Okay, remember the card of the day is this. And, we got it for the rest of the day. And that is basically how we did our day.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love it so much.
And it makes a nice difference. Now, and the big thing is that a lot of people are like, well, but what if it goes wrong? It's okay if it goes wrong. It's not supposed to be telling you that this is what's going to happen. What it is a check on your behavior. It's a check on things that say, look, things happen. Shit blows. What happens is how you basically act to those things happening. You control you. So if you get bogged down in details and your card for the day is that Two of Wands, it's saying, dude, who are you? What are you controlling? Are you, is the details controlling you or are you controlling what's going on?
Right.
And if you're bogged down in details, the details are controlling you. And that's the whole point. And like one of the big things is I pulled out one day, which I hated it when I saw it. It was the Two of Swords.
Uh-huh.
It's all about compromise. And I was like, why do I gotta be the one that compromises?
I don't want to compromise. I don't want to. Well, I gotta be the one to compromise. I don't want to.
So I was like, so this day is gonna be one of those days where I'm gonna have to like deal with cranky people.
Mm-hmm. But at least you know. So now you're prepared. Now you can find your center. You can get you an extra cup of coffee or some tea. You know.
Yeah, and the thing is that like for my day job, I have to deal with customers that basically, you know, either they get accidents and they need somebody to help them, and or you know they're wondering why their price is so high. Well, it couldn't be that 3 accidents and the 2 speeding tickets you had, or, you know.
It's not it. That's not it at all.
No,
yeah, that's not. Yeah,
So,
customers are great. Love customers. Love them. Love work.
it's like that whole thing about the customer's always right, and the customer,
which is a lie.
Not always right.
Yeah.
They're not. No,
they're not.
No.
Let's whoever come up with that is a damn liar.
Mm-mm.
Big damn liar. Yeah. So when you let's, you know, because I can tell, because, you know, I know the way my brain works, and some people will be like, okay, but where, like, who's giving me the answers when I look at these tarot cards? Like, you know, some people will start a tarot card reading and they'll say, you know, they'll get, you know, real deep into, you know, I'm talking to my spirit guides, my angels, my whoever. Do you have to do that? Like, when, you know,
No.
what do you, where is this magical intuition, let's say, quote unquote, magical intuition coming from when we pull these cards? How do we know that they're telling us the truth?
So when you listen to your gut intuition, where does that come from?
We're done here. That's it. Podcast over.
Now, it's not to sit there and say that you may not be given some external thing that you may hear or you may see or you may encounter, because I mean, I'll be honest, some people are blessed in those ways to actually hear auditory experiences, to see ghosts, to have those experiences over and beyond what everybody else does. But most, unfortunately, does not have that ability.
Right.
So their experience is grounded in their gut, and it is like a cop, like a detective. You develop your hunches, you develop your skill, and you become self-aware. And the more self-aware you become, the more likely you're able to interpret, which is one of the things that I also tell people is you can sit there and see that, let's say, for example, the world is all about wholeness and being complete.
Right.
So that's great. But let's say, for example, when you see the world and it's about wholeness and complete, you also see everything else on there. You see the countries, you see people, you also see the possibilities of problems that can still come up. So everything may be whole and complete in your eyes, but you also see the possibilities of other things occurring.
Right.
So for you, your definition is wholeness, everything's wholeness and complete, but also be prepared.
Right.
So that's your extra interpretation on the card that you've come to know through the way that you're processing work. And that's where the definition of tarot starts to grow. Because everybody has the base tarot definitions, and then you have your definitions that come over and beyond those base definitions.
I love that.
And don't ever think that those definitions are wrong. They are not. Anybody who's ever seen me read has seen that if they look at the definitions, they'll be like, that's not quite what she said. It was like a little bit off. Well, that's because going from what I've learned and what I've basically have discerned through my gut and through my skills that carry over into, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. This is basically what I'm seeing, what's coming out with all these different cards. So one of the other things you'll find out is that if you read enough of the tarot books, that there are certain combinations that are a different definition together than they are separate.
Yes.
So those little combo packs, as I call them, are like, oh, well, you want to be together. Okay. See how this is. You cause trouble.
Love it.
So you kind of get those and you're like, oh, all right. And then you lay out a couple more cards and you're like, oh, so we're going to have trouble in the area of like either romance or money. It could be any other things. And then you sit there and be like, oh, well, I see with the other cards, we may be offset a little bit because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So when we talk about tarot in general, like I said, there's the major and the minor arcana.
Mm-hmm.
The major arcana, a lot of people get to learn. You probably heard of the Fool's Journey.
Right.
The Fool's Journey, if you've ever heard that story, is the major arcana story. It's also like a takeoff of the hero's journey.
Wow. Okay.
So the Fool's Journey is the easiest thing to learn the definitions of the major arcana. But when you get to the minor arcana, it is really hard to get to some of the definitions, to learn them a little bit more for people. The easiest thing I can tell you to do is, one, don't overthink it, because overthinking it will kill you every single time.
Truth. That's real truth. That's true story. True story, y'all.
The biggest other thing to do is, I know when people are like, so when you look at the wands and the cups and you look at all these things, you know, how do you keep these straight? So one, practice. And two, the best thing that I love is that if you get a deck that separates them by color, it is easier for you to know what the hell you're doing.
Get the beginner deck. Get the beginner deck. Get it.
So if you have like cups and wands and swords, you know, so you know how you have your regular deck, that like a regular card deck, you have diamonds, you have the spades, you have the hearts, and then you have the clubs. Same principle. So if anybody has their favorite suit in a regular card deck, you probably will find that you have a favorite suit in the minor arcana. Most people will start to feel, when they start learning the deck, will probably be drawn to cups, because it's all about love and romance. So,
everybody always wants a love reading. Oh yeah.
So big thing to remember is, when it comes to cups, is, and this is basically how I taught everybody, was cups is basically the water element. Water element is all about emotions. Crying those tears, wiping those tears away. When a cup holds water. So you think about it as, you know, when you get married, you have a relationship, it's going out for a glass of wine. You get married, it's the glass of champagne. We've done it. That's how you remember what cups are and what they are all about. When you look at the element of wands, think about what they do. So remember the two of wands that we did? So when you look at the wands, we'll take out the four. It's always good. So you look at that. Four of wands says it's a safe haven, it's a celebration, it's a good time. So it's all about people. It's all about basically dealing with not your intellect. It's not dealing with emotions.
Yeah.
So you kind of can bury it down to the fact that it has to deal with more with the person itself, dealing with the people skills, dealing with that aspect. Because when you look at the swords is all about the air and intellect, which is kind of weird, because you think swords fighting, it's all about
right. You think it'd be very aggressive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you would think that the sword would be all about the person and the end.
Yeah. Right.
But think about it. You think, and that takes up a lot of energy. That's why
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And that is why the swords are all about energy. So the other thing is the pentacles, and I love dealing with pentacles, because pentacles was probably the easiest one for me to remember. Pentacles, which is also called coins, is literally that. It's coins. It's all about the money, honey. It's about hard work. It's about being grounded. It's all about your money. So once you have those,
then it's just fine-tuning details.
And that's just it. You learn about what you learn about what the aces are. Aces are all about new beginning. So twos are all about basically couples, about partnerships, about where you're going to be on those things. Threes will go into those things. The fours go forward. You know, fives, you have difficulties with some of those, because some at the fives, you learn at the fives that some are withdrawing, some are not playing nice, others are. Hey, you're like, wait a minute, I don't like you. Sixes, you have like the Six of Cups is all about relationships or childhood relationships, basically good childhood memories. Then you have like the Six of Swords, and that goes different. Where the biggest problem for most people to remember the definitions or the meanings are when we get to court cards. So you have the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. Or like a friend of mine used to go, it is the princess, the prince, the queen, and the king.
I love it. Love that.
And I was like, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's good. It's good.
And there is a book out by Ethany, Ethany Dawn, who did a book that talks all about the court cards, and how to read them in combination, how to basically break down their meanings. And I loved her book because I used to hate the court card because I would look at them and be like, "You're just freaking the king and queen of hearts." Off with her head. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. You have done such a phenomenal job today of breaking down what the tarot is, why people should use it. I love that. You just dropped some really good tips for tarot card readers, I think. My last question to you would be, if you're, I mean, because you talk a lot about how it's your intuition to kind of read the cards and based on like, you know, your experience and your gut feelings and how kind of self-aware you are. When you do readings for other people, like what would you recommend to somebody who is looking to find a tarot card reader for them? Does there need to be some kind of connection? Do they need to be listening to their gut as well? Because I feel like not every tarot card reader is obviously for everybody.
No. So one of the things that I look for when I get my tarot, and yes, believe it or not, even though I read for others and I do my own readings for myself, every so often I go out and get readings elsewhere. So I look for tarot readers that have a decent amount of experience, that don't shortchange themselves. Yes, it's nice to get cheap readings, and I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not, but I also like to get readings where even if they're learning, I want them to feel that they are worth the effort that they put in. And that's something that they have to realize, is that they are not, they're putting in a dedication and skill to provide something that not a lot of people do. And not a lot of people are able to give that kind of feedback for. So it's that kind of a thing, you know, price for the market that you're in, price for that kind of deal. But when you go to look for that reader, make sure that reader is not, one, overpricing for your market, but two, find somebody that you're comfortable with. That, you know, if you exchange emails with them, if you say, hey, look, I'm thinking about getting a reading. I'm not sure which of the readings I want. What would you suggest? Because, you know, it's just like for something general, or if it's for something specific, that kind of thing, they could direct you a little bit better. Or if it's a generalized reading but you're kind of like not sure which one would be the best, they may even offer to do you a specific reading based on that question. So those are the kind of things that you would look for, is a reader that's willing to be open and willing to basically do that little aspect for you. It makes it easier to go back. I mean, I have basically a set of readers that I have gone back to for like the last 15 years.
Love it.
So yeah, and I find it awesome because I have built up such a rapport with them that when I go back and they're like, you're back and your stuff, I'm like, yeah, tell me how terrible is this. Like, you know, patience is still the key. I'm like, I hate patience and I'm going to have to kill her. So
I too hate Patience and would like to punch her, so that's fine. No, but I don't think does anybody like Patience? She gets a bad rap, but I don't think anybody likes her. I don't think anybody. Don't nobody like that bitch. Don't nobody like that bitch. I love it. Oh, such good advice. Such good advice. Cyn, we're getting close to time. Do you want to give a quick reading to show off your skills? Because I know that Cyn has an amazing website. I'm not going to brag about it. I made it. It's awesome. But it's pretty awesome. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But Cyn does tarot readings. She does oracle card readings. And if you have found any value in what you have heard from her today, if you resonate with her, then I would highly, highly recommend you go and you book her for your readings, because you will just get so much value out of it. She's auntie, yo. She's not gonna lie to you. She's gonna be like, yo, you fucking up. Oh, yo, you doing good. She'll tell you. She's gonna give it to you straight. So if you want a tarot card reader who's gonna give it to you straight and not sugarcoating, you need to call Cyn. Cyn set you right.
And Crystal has been in that position a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. She did. Yeah. I'm not like somebody else in her life though. I listen. I don't tell her to reshuffle the cards.
Use the purple deck.
Yeah. Like, I don't like that deck. Use a different deck. Yeah, Cyn, you know what? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that's the nice thing too, is the fact that because I have so many decks, is that I usually, when I do a reading, is I will use like 3 or 4 different decks.
Oh wow. She does. You'd be like, yeah, we hung up at her house, and she just like, she'd come down in the evenings as she came home from work, and she'd just pull out all the tarot cards. She'd be like, yo, let's go. I'd be like, let's go. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. After lasagna. I missed the lasagna.
You miss lasagna? You know, I have stuff to make lasagna this week too.
I'm so mad. I hate COVID so much. I miss lasagna. I need lasagna. The lasagna is so good. The lasagna is so good. It's so good. Yes. Okay. Yes. And go ahead. Give me like a short spread. Something.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's say one of the things that you can do for yourself, and this is actually one of the things that you can do for other people to get used to reading, is a 3-card spread.
Love it. I love the 3-card spread. It's so simple.
It's like past, present, future. It is usually it can be yes, no, maybe. It can also be, what my favorite thing to do is, if they have a question, is basically what's for it, what's against it, and your outcome. So Miss Crystal, let's do that for you. Let's do it.
I'm ready. All right. Let's do it.
So your 3 cards. Ooh.
I'm so scared.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
so
shit.
Your first card, which is what's for your little doodah, is the Page of Swords. Page of Swords is all about prepping for action. So we're talking about you're wanting to learn the truth, you wanting to basically be able to talk. You're all about the air, which is, again, is all about your intellect. You're basically going forward and wanting to learn how to do those things, learning to be truthful to yourself, which is always a good thing to do, is be self-aware. But while you're doing that, you're also wanting to do a very big thing, which is also something that's against you, is that you're not doing enough of, which is putting away money for yourself.
Why is the tarot calling me out? I'm so mad right now.
So you're not doing enough of that, because you're, with learning the truth, you're bouncing around a little bit, and you're not giving yourself enough time to develop your money skills, which you need to do. What is the outcome for this? It is the High Priestess in reverse. Ooh. So one of the things about the High Priestess in reverse, it's all about not only the woo, but it's also about being able to take that wisdom of what you learn. So when it's in reverse, it means that right now you're not in a place of wisdom enough where you feel balanced to do both. Be truthful to yourself and ground yourself for money purposes. So you're out of balance, so where you'll do one time, one the other. One time, one the other. And that's going to keep up for a little while. And the reason why, but it's going to eventually balance itself out, and we know that because you have another page. And that page is really nice because it's a spark of a new idea, yet again, because Crystal, you're going to have way too many ideas, yet again, and not enough time to ever accomplish anything, because it's the plot bunny thing, you put a plot bunny in a cage and it makes like multiple plot bunnies. It's
yeah.
So, but that's going to give you an idea at one point where you can actually balance the both, and it may actually allow you to even yourself out just enough where it'll start building your money reserves, and yet at the same time free you enough to find your own truth.
Love it.
So yeah. So that's basically what the 3-card spread does. Eventually you sometimes will add a 4th to give you, if that outcome needs an extra card to go, and you'll know what to do when that time comes.
I'm so mad at these cards just calling me out like that. This is what the tarot is I'm so mad at these cards right now. How dare you? Literally a conversation that I had with my girlfriend like 2 nights ago. That's crazy. That's and I didn't tell this freaky shit. Anybody who is hanging out in chat, like a very quick 3-card spread reading from Cyn, I am opening up to you. Yeah. Speak now or forever hold your peace, but don't ask if you don't want to know. She gonna call you out on a live show. I'm just letting you know. I know. It's Invader. Oh, what's up, Invader? All right. My friend Invader is here. What's your real name? I don't ever know you. I don't think we need to. Oh, it's his birthday.
Oh, a birthday reading. Even
yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
So we'll do a nice little birthday reading. So we'll do
birthday reading for Invader. Yes.
All right. So we'll do the birthday cut. Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Dude.
Uh-oh.
So first off, you got 3 major arcana. So happy birthday to you.
Oh, snap.
So the first one you have is the World card. So it is, again, all about being whole. It is about making sure that you honor your achievements. Some of the stuff that you've had, that you've accomplished, you've not honored enough of your achievements, and you really need to do. It's something that a lot of people have had a lot of trouble doing. And even though you may brag about yourself on occasion, you may not really honor the things that you've accomplished. So there's a difference between, this is a conversation I've had with somebody else before. There's a difference between bragging about yourself and bragging and being able to sit there and hold high your accomplishments for yourself. So that's something that you're wanting to do because it basically becomes a whole you. What's going to happen, and which is holding you back, is the fact that you're in the middle of a change. Becoming more aware, but you're also learning that you're having a little bit of issue. Basically, you feel like you're in free fall a little bit, but it's okay, because here's the thing about change. When you get the Tower card, a lot of people see the Tower card and freak out. Tower card just means that all the crap that's come before, we're wiping away clean. Everything that's been stumbling you, everything that's been going, basically at this point, it's saying it gone, it go bye-bye. So having this card show up for your birthday is actually a cool thing. It just means that going forward, you're going to basically not have to worry about it. So your last card is Death in Reverse. Death in Reverse is all about basically transformation. It's all about having to be about what comes next. With it being in reverse, it's like you have been feeling that you've been stuck. So your outcome is that with this tower, you're starting fresh. You don't have to transform. Everything's been transformed for you. Where you go from here is up to you now. You get to go and start wherever you want, be whoever you want, and do whatever you want. But we recognize the things that you have accomplished and using those to build your blocks to where you want to go. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Invader. Did she just blow your mind? I think you blew his mind. I'm gonna vote with mind blowing. Voting with. He is actually in the middle of a move right now.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
She does. So much. See. There you go. I put Cyn's website in the chat channel so you can go and look her up and get an even more in-depth reading into your life. Go to Cynnara.com. It all makes sense, he says. Love it.
Good.
Love it. Thank you so much, Cyn. I so appreciate your time. I so appreciate you being here and sharing your wealth of knowledge. If you are listening to this podcast or even watching it, doesn't matter. Please go and check out Cynnara's website. You will see links down in the description no matter where it is. Check us out live. I am here on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking to amazing people. This is information that it will blow your mind like we did poor Invader, or hopefully it will help you improve your creative craft. That's what we are here to do on Crystal's Imagination. Go to crystalsimagination.com/talk show to get all the deets about the show. Check out the archives and see our upcoming guest list. If you are a podcast listener, you will get these on Thursday. If you are a YouTube watcher, you will also get these on Thursday. Or you can come hang out with us live over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Crystal's Imagination. I am your host, Crystal Storm. I'm a science fiction author. I'm a creative content producer. I also need to fucking learn how to balance my money so I can have more money. And I'm mad these cards just call me out like that. I'm so mad right now. but it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. I'm taking action. I'm taking action now. We here, right? I'm doing it. All right, you guys. We will see you next Tuesday. I will have on here best-selling author Whitney Hill, excuse me. She is amazing. She will be talking to us about astrology and ancestral witchcraft. It is a 2-part session about living your authentic life. She will be back in June to talk about being a best-selling indie author. So I am very excited to talk to her. She is another person who has a wealth of knowledge. So stick around for that. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing, all that shit. Y'all know what to do. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Sit by Sid. Bye. Bye. Crystal here. I wanted to thank you personally for joining us for this episode of Crystal's Imagination of the Talk Show. I hope you'll take a quick second to drop us a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and/or a review. I would love to hear your feedback. If you have a guest suggestion, drop me a line at talkshow@crystalsimagination.com, or you can just send me a note and we can be email buddies. Want more podcasts? You can also check out the serialized fiction podcast of the same name, Crystal's Imagination. You'll find it on my YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out all the information down in the description. Till next time.